Trump revealed that his home, the famous Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida, was raided by FBI agents, and he put it out in that typical Trump style, salted and peppered with humor and derision. And if it was meant to break his spirit, well, it certainly hasn't. Let me read to you the email put out last night by which the world learned of the raid on Mar-a-Lago. Trump said, "These are dark times for our nation as my beautiful home, Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida, is currently under siege, raided and occupied by a large group of FBI agents. Nothing like this has ever happened to a president of the United States before. After working and cooperating with the relevant government agencies, this unannounced raid on my home was not necessary or appropriate. It is prosecutorial misconduct, the weaponization of the justice system, an attack by radical left Democrats who desperately don't want me to run for president in 2024, especially based on recent polls, and who will likewise do anything to stop Republicans and conservatives in the upcoming midterm elections. Such an assault could only take place in broken third world countries. Sadly, America has now become one of those countries, corrupt at a level not seen before. They even broke into my safe. What is the difference between this and Watergate, where operatives broke into the Democrat National Committee? Here in reverse, Democrats broke into the home of the 45th President of the United States. The political persecution of President Donald J. Trump has been going on for years, with the now fully debunked Russia scam, impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2, and so much more. It just never ends. It is political targeting at the highest level. Hillary Clinton was allowed to delete and acid wash 33,000 emails after they were subpoenaed by Congress. Absolutely nothing has happened to hold her accountable. She even took antique furniture and other items from the White House. I stood up to America's bureaucratic corruption. I restored power to the people and truly delivered for our country like we have never seen before. The establishment hated it. Now, as they watch my endorsed candidates win big victories and see my dominance in all polls, they're trying to stop me and the Republican Party once more. The lawlessness, political persecution, and witch hunt must be exposed and stopped. I will continue to fight for the great American people." Absolutely pure Trumpism, throwing out darts at his rivals, having that fighting happy warrior spirit. It's sort of funny if it weren't an absolute disaster. Now, they raided Donald Trump's home. What did they think they were going to find? Guns, dynamite, some secret plan for fascism? Not really. We've just seen the not-so-secret plan for fascism at the hands of the FBI. I'm sorry to read so much to you, but let me read what Ari Fleischer, who I would call a moderate Republican, he was against Trump in 2016, if memory recalls. He was actually Bush's spokesman during the 9/11 era. Ari Fleischer's considered a pretty thoughtful guy. I wouldn't call him a Trump fan, that's for sure. Here's what he said last night, and forgive me for reading so much, but I just think he's spot on. I'll read some, and then I'll give you my thoughts, of course. Fleischer said, "Here's why the FBI raid, absent a finding that puts former President Trump behind bars, is so damaging." In other words, Fleischer is saying, if you have found something that is so egregious, we're actually putting a president behind bars, which has never happened before, not even Richard Nixon, not even, would-be President Clinton. Here's what Fleischer says. He says, number one, most governmental institutions are already not trusted by the American people. This raid contributes to mistrust of the FBI. 2, it leads to mistrust of Department of Justice, the courts. Remember, 2 of the 4 court-approved warrants against Carter Page were found to be invalid. That was in the Russia conspiracy. They got these secret warrants, and they were found later to be invalid. Do you doubt this one will be too? 3, Trump has been subject to numerous probes, all of which turned out empty. If the FBI didn't find the goods yesterday, add this to the list. 4, did the Department of Justice really need to go to this length to enforce the Presidential Paperwork Act? Government lawyers and Trump lawyers couldn't figure this out. The Department of Justice really had to resort to a raid. And that's the thing. A raid on Trump's house, you would think that there was something atrocious going on. They're just haggling over paperwork. What's Trump's and what's the government's? As Trump points out, Hillary Clinton literally destroyed 33,000 emails that were under subpoena. Here, Trump's not running away with anything or destroying anything. He's just saying, no, these documents are mine. The government's saying they're not. And they're haggling over it. An FBI raid, that is clear Putin-style policing. FBI didn't raid Hillary's home to search for her server. They didn't raid the Democratic National Committee to get the server the Russians hacked. They didn't raid Clinton National Security Council advisor Sandy Berger's home to see if he had additional smuggled classified material. Why is Trump held to a different standard? Now, if you're not my age or older, you won't know who Sandy Berger was. He was a Clinton senior aide who literally went into a secure government facility, ripped out pages of a secret document, stuffed them in his pockets, and walked out. Clearly criminal intent, like just outrageous, caught and given a slap on the wrist. No raid on his home. Here, Donald Trump is not pretending he doesn't have anything. He's just saying it's his. Can you imagine? Here's a good one. The Biden White House knows that many Americans won't believe Biden didn't know about this or approve it, even if he didn't know. I suspect this is a headache the Biden White House didn't want. Well, I don't think Joe Biden knows anything that's going on. These are Democratic Party operatives who just can't get over their hatred for Trump. 7, a precedent has been set. Former presidents, while not above the law, can now have their homes raided by successor administrations. There's no telling where that will lead. Isn't that the truth? 8, bottom line, FBI better have found smoking gun evidence of crime, not a paperwork dispute. If not, this raid should not have been approved and will backfire into a boost for Trump and a further erosion of trust in vital governmental organizations. My question to Director Wray and Attorney General Garland, was it worth it? Well, they would say absolutely, because they don't really care about public institutions or the public good. It's about partisan vengeance for them. Unprecedented is a word that's thrown around a fair bit, but it really is unprecedented. Richard M. Nixon's home was not raided after Watergate. You would think that Bill Clinton, with so many of his scandals, perhaps his home would be raided, especially after all those trips he took to Jeffrey Epstein's island. Speaking of which, it turns out, and this story in the New York Post shows it, in the Daily Mail, absolutely incredible, the judge who issued the warrant for this raid, it's almost impossible to believe, was when he was a lawyer, had Jeffrey Epstein and Epstein's household staff as a client. Let me say that again. The judge who issued the warrant to raid Donald Trump's home when he was a lawyer was Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer. What you just saw was an excerpt from my nightly show, The Ezra Levant Show. Every weekday I do a monologue. Usually it's about half an hour. Then I interview an interesting guest, and then we read my hate mail or my fan mail, whichever is more fun. It's only available behind a paywall, though. That's how we pay our bills here at Rebel News. We don't take a dime from Justin Trudeau. But the good news is it's only $8 a month, about half the price of Netflix. And in addition to my nightly show, you also get weekly shows from 4 other friends here at Rebel News. So you're getting 36 shows a month just for $8. I think it's worth it. And even if you're not quite sure, do it anyways, because we rely on viewers like you to keep us free and independent. I promise you I'll never take a dime from Trudeau. Just go to rebelnewsplus.com and click subscribe. Thanks.